Hello, I'm Jim Peck, and with me is John Boggs, the Assistant Professor of Music at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee and conductor of the UWM Jazz Ensemble, and, of course, Dizzy Gillespie.
Doctor.
Doctor.
Yes,
Doctor.
John Gillespie.
I'm
Birks.
sorry, I missed that.
Being the recipient of an honorary doctorate degree of Rutgers University, and you could add, rhythm is my business.
Doctor, when you started out, did you ever think you'd see jazz end up in universities, and you with a doctorate?
I have so many plans for jazz that I see jazz on a level. I see jazz on a level, on the highest level in music, because it is rich and is vibrant and virile. So therefore, I see it way, way up. I have my eyes set on where jazz is supposed to be, and it's way above what it is now.
When you started out, if somebody wanted to play an alternative to the music that was around, he went into jazz. Now there is rock, very glamorous, pays a lot of money. Are young people going into jazz?
Well, the most successful rock bands now are jazz-oriented, because a good example of that is like a group like Blood, Sweat, and Tears, or Chase. The Chase trumpet players, I said, the trumpet players, when I heard their album, those trumpet players up there playing such hard stuff, I say, Chase, the 6 hernias in the neck from playing on that hard. I told them at the thing, I said, these guys must, I said, you guys must be crazy playing that hard. But they just like to play that hard. But the successful jazz rock groups now are jazz-oriented, and they use all of our licks, and they make it with the rock beat, and it's all right. The same thing happened with our music. Like the bossa nova. The bossa nova, we were the first ones to play bossa nova in this country, by the way, because we had been to South America, no one else had been there. And we had like one-note samba and sugar solid. We had it before the popular people made the record. But at that time, I didn't have a recording contract, so I didn't do it, so I lost that. But it still doesn't evade the fact that we were the first one to play that kind of music. But the South Americans, they had their own distinctive rhythm, but their harmonies was a direct copy of our harmonies that we made in the bop era of the 40s. And they copied it, and they went further. I mean, it was great. I can see somebody copying something, because everybody has to have someone to copy. I don't care if you hear a guy says, I got mine out of the air, he's a liar. I don't care how great he is, because he had someone to as a standard to go by, because it doesn't come like that.
Do you have any opinions about where jazz is headed?
Yes, all I can say is where it has been up to this point. You see, you can look at jazz, the jazz picture, from the beginning. How did jazz start? Well, jazz started with the blacks, slaves. I mean, the fundamental.
The blues and
the fundamental, yes, the fundamental. Now, the reason that jazz took on the characteristics that it had, that it didn't take on the same characteristics that, say, Brazil or Cuba or the West Indies or Haiti, was because the white, the slave masters didn't allow the slaves in this country to have drums. Now that was the basic, rhythm was the basic. So therefore, they had to get other means of expressing themselves in music. So therefore, they got in the fields, and when they were in the fields, I used to see this down south even all the time. When they get this, they chopping cotton, and they say, no, 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 ha! You know, and they go down and on the railroads and all this stuff, and then they they used to go and listen to the symphony. They let them peep in and listen to this symphony. So they said, there must be some instruments besides the drums, because the drum was their whole thing. Where they made their music and they made their dancing. That's the blacks in the United States don't even have a national dance, and it's a shame. Yeah, because they took the drums away. Cuba, Brazil has the samba. Cuba has the rumba, and the West Indies has the calypso. Haiti has the other thing. I don't know what you call it, but whatever they got a national dance. But we don't even have a national dance because of the fact that they took the drum. Because the slave masters were afraid.
They would communicate or something.
Yeah,
right?
you can talk to somebody and say,
like the old drum sign language or drum language.
They really talk with the drums.
Right.
There's no doubt about it.
Right.
They really talk with the drums. So and then now, the only remnants of that African influence now, the closest remnant in America, are the Sea Islands of Georgia. Outside of and there's a reason for that. The slave owners that owned the slaves out in those little islands, they weren't there. They had overseers to take that, and the overseers didn't care. So they let them have what they wanted, and they retained a great deal of. I was just down there. We're making a film. I've been making a film with Willie Ruff at Yale University. We're making a feature film with all of these things about our music. We're going to trace the drum, because I play the bass drum, and the bass drum is something else. You see, the drum as we know it now is a white man's invention. You see, we didn't, because we always played with our hands. So that's what they let them. They couldn't talk with this kind of drum. So they let them have that kind of drum, and it's the bass that goes on the tub and things like that. So it is very, very interesting when you know the history of how this music came about and how it developed and how it finally caught up to the white music, the European. I say white, but I really don't mean white. I mean European music, because the Europeans are mostly people of fair skin, so that's why I say white. So and I'm not prejudiced, because I'm a Baha'i, and we don't preach that. We preach the oneness of mankind. So I'm not speaking, but it's just an historical account of how the music started and where it's going now. Rhythm. When an individual or a band or anything turn his back on the fundamentals of the music, of rhythm, he lose sight on the music altogether. See, so that's like it's the same thing as saying in religion. Because I'm with religion, and I look at it in my music too, because God says that playing an instrument is a form of worship, and I've been worshiping all my life, and it's just recently that I've been understanding it. But you see, in our music, how the music developed and all up to that point, and it came up in all of our music, we have had messengers to our music, to the whole picture. See, that there was the message of Bunk Johnson, who was only for a specific interval. His influence was only supposed to last a specific interval in our musical development. And then King Oliver, and Louis Armstrong, Roy Eldridge, me, Miles, Clifford Brown, and then whoever is going to come after Freddie Hubbard. Now, in religion, we look at it as being a Baha'i. We look at it the same way. Like Abraham brought his influence. He was directly from God. He brought his, and then Moses, and then Jesus, and Buddha, Zoroaster, Krishna, and Abraham, Baha'u'llah, the Bab, our prophet. So we believe that the influence is just specifically for a specific amount of time, and then somebody comes along and take what the fundamentals that you brought and carries it further. So therefore, when you call me Louis Armstrong, I'll say, hey, I'll answer, because I know that we are one and the same. The same as Moses and Jesus and Baha'u'llah and Muhammad and Abraham are the same.
What do you look for in a musician? Somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, Diz, I want to play," and he plays for you. What do you look and listen for?
I look for a specific stamp on him. I don't know, is this a feeling that I get when I hear him play? And if I get it, he can be, you know, I have a lot of trouble like that too sometimes, because there's so many things that they can't do. I get a musician, a lot of things they can't do, such as read well. And I'll stick along with him and try to teach him how to read. But he has certain things that I like that he does, like a drummer. Maybe he has one thing that really absolutely gasses me more than anybody else. You know, if he's been playing for a length of time, he probably developed this something that I like. So I like specific things, but mostly what I look for is the rhythmic content in a musician. How is his rhythm? If he's got rhythm, I'm for him. And he can miss notes all night long if he got the rhythm.
What about the improvisatory aspect of it? Jazz is certainly...
Well, that will come from listening to other guys and copying and trying to get, because you never know, because I get such young musicians sometimes that they're everywhere. You know, I have a little bass player now, named Alex Blake. He's 20 years old. He's turned 20. And he's everywhere. He listens to Blanton, he listens to Richard Davis, he listens to Oscar Pettiford, he listens to Mingus, he listens to everybody, you know, but he hasn't really molded himself into, but he has something that no other bass player has. He's a rhythm all in himself with that bass. When we come to, sometime when I bring my quintet, you'll hear him. He's something different. So that's what I look for. I look for rhythm first.
Of course, that's the core of Afro-American music.
If you haven't got that, you can have everything else and don't have rhythm. Just like in life, if you have everything else and don't have love, you lost. Love. My group now, it really tickles me. I laugh. All the saying I'm laughing all the time. There's so much love in my group now. They love one another. You see that every now and then you see the drummer kick the bass player. You know, come back. You know, he's young and he's fly and he's out here, but the drummer does that and take his foot off the sock cymbal and kick him on the leg. They say, "Come on," you know what I'm saying? And it's nice to see love, because this is, well, my band has got more love than, I'll make a statement here. My band has got as much love as any 100-piece band, and I only got 5.
Can outlove any band in the house.
Yes, say outlove any band. Where we're walking and say, we'll outlove anybody.
Are you saying,
and we're only 5 of us.
Are you saying that it's born then? That you can polish somebody, but he really either has it or he doesn't?
No, I wouldn't say that, no. It's the environment. You see, and what environment you came up under. Some guys, I like an environment that had a sanctified that thing, or Latin. You know, my bass player is from Panama. He came up under a Latin environment. My pianist, Mike Longo, it was from Cincinnati, and he grew up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He used to play with Cannonball, and I was down there. He came up under more of a gospel. He plays gospel, man. You put him on gospel, so he might play with some gospel. Ding, 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 yeah.
You know, talking about this love, I think about some of the things that are being done in jazz today, and I think about the emotion, the soul, the love that has existed in jazz, and I think about some of the new recordings that I hear, and you perhaps can describe them as avant-garde or whatever you may, but many of them are rather sterile and frigid in terms of aesthetics.
It sounds like they're mad with one another, a lot of it.
Right, very hectic, and you can't, there's no... Yeah.
Yo, man,
and I think this is bad for jazz, you know, because...
Yeah, I like love. I go for love. And we have, my group consists of two blacks and 2 Italians. and I don't know what I am. See, so
You're in the middle.
I'm right in the middle, yeah. So, and it's love there that transcends race or anything. And it's, I wouldn't have no. Boy, it would hurt me to lose one of these guys because they're all good musicians, yet they all love. Man, they be granted, and all of them they joke on the time. You know, they be saying something funny on the bandstand all the time. Man, I'll cry. Sometimes I go up to the microphone and I start to make an announcement, and the drummer says something, man, and I can't finish. I can't finish. It break me up, man, and it adds and it goes into the audience.
Right.
Because they know we're having a good time.
It's that communication, you know.
Yeah, they know we're having a good time. It's just like one time, when I first became Baha'i, I went on a show one time, and this guy, and I was explaining about my religious faith, and this guy was interviewing me, says, well, tell me this. You are known to put people on and things like that. He say, how do I know that you're serious? I say, all you have to do is look at my face when I'm talking about it, because it's evident in my face when I'm serious. How serious I am about the Baha'i faith. You see, or whatever I'm talking about, you can tell when I'm trying to put. If you have any, when you can't tell, you don't have that thing in your heart yourself, because you putting people on. You see, the next time, you see, at the State, I was talking to President Nixon about, when I was at the Duke Ellington dinner, we were talking about the possibility of my going on another tour for the State Department. And President Nixon knew that I had been twice. And I told the President, I said, well, Mr. President, I'm not even remotely interested in going to play for people outside the country again, but I would be interested in playing with foreigners. He said, that's a good idea. Now, all I need to do now, you see, all I need to do now is sit down to typewriter and write up a nice letter and explain the situation, which I think I'm going to do. Explain the situation, how I could bring about a closeness, because there's nothing like going to Pakistan with a nucleus of a band and getting half of guys there. Because our music, he said, well, when you have trouble getting the caliber of musicians that you need, I said, Mr. President, our music is so all around the world now. You can go to Japan. I could get 5 guys in Japan better than I could go to Philadelphia to get 5 right now. Because those guys are really Japanese. Oh, honey, they got over 100 bands in Japan, big bands, you know. So I say it's no problem there. It's just a problem of rehearsing and communicating with these guys about what you want.
It's been this art form of ours, which has been developed by black people.
And it should be taken care of. It should be really. I would be a better emissary than Kissinger, because I want nothing. I want nothing but love from them. You see, then they'll know it. The moment you see when the moment they see me, I bring love. You see, Kissinger is only talking about business or something like that, or how much business I can bring you and things like that. But I bring love, so they know that, and there's nothing stronger than love.
Where do you come from?
My background is gospel-oriented, but I'm from South Carolina. And I was fascinated by the sanctified people. The sanctified church was about 1,000 meters. 1,000 meters. I'm speaking like a European now.
Beautiful.
But you know what's going to happen. You see, I was speaking in terms of meters, and when you're thinking about liquids and things like that, we're going to come to that. We're going to have grams and we're going to have grams and meters, and then we're going to also have a universal auxiliary language to take care of all this misunderstanding in the world now. See, that's what
I just about had this one knocked.
Huh?
I just about had this one knocked. Now we're going to change it.
Yeah, well, see, the Baha'is are dedicated to the establishment of a universal auxiliary language to be taught in all schools on the globe, so that when you go, if I go to Afghanistan and I say, "Hey, man," and the guy doesn't understand that, I whoop that other language on him. He'll understand that, and that would. Would you think the establishment of a universal auxiliary language in the world right now, the way that things are going on now, if the Chinese, suppose we knew a universal auxiliary language and the Chinese knew one too, and all the Russians and all the Cubans and all of that knew this language, at the moment we wouldn't need no translators, because I got a story to tell you about translators. I was in South America, where my Lalo Schifrin used to play with me. Well, when we got down in Buenos Aires, we had a lot of programs do like this. They interviewed me and they asked me in Spanish. And then Lalo told me what they said in English, and his English is very bad anyway. So, and then he told them back what I answered in Spanish. See, now, so I told Lalo, I said, "Look, Lalo, I'm going to tell you how I feel about interpreters. In the UN, when Khrushchev came over here, when he was beating took off his shoe and was beating that thing with his thing, and the interpreter said that he was saying, 'I'll bury you,' talking about America. Khrushchev wasn't saying, 'I'll bury you.' Khrushchev was saying, 'I love you,' but it was the interpreter who hated America." You see, so they made, you understand what I mean? So that's what I'm thinking about these interpreters. They never get things right.
There's one little aspect of history that has impressed me. You started out on trombone, is that right? And piano?
Yes, well, the reason for that I started on trombone was I was so small that they gave all the instruments to the bigger guys. And I didn't know what I wanted anyway. All I knew, I wanted something, because I'd been fooling around with the piano since I was about 1 year, maybe 9 months or something. Then I reached the piano thing, Kunchine Lady, Kunchine Lady and all of that. Well, and I knew that I wanted music, and my father probably put all those things in my way, because my father was a musician, and he tried to make my older brothers and sisters take music, and they didn't have no eyes. And he used to beat them, and they still didn't want no music. And none of them are musicians now. I'm the last one. And he never saw me as a musician because he died when I was 10. But I imagine that music was ingrained in me, so I wanted anything, the band or anything, give it here. Peck horn. I think I think the first thing they gave me was a peck horn. No, trombone, I think. And then I saw this peck horn. You know the alto peck horn?
Melphonium, the old.
Yeah. But the one that stick up like this.
Yeah.
And I think I remember playing that just a little while. And then the boy next door got a trumpet. His family bought him one. And then I asked him if I could practice on that. I heard that, and I said, oh. And they let me practice on that. And I never owned a horn until I moved up north. And I played all around in high school. I got a scholarship in Laurinburg Institute, and never had a horn of my own. I always played. And when I got to Philadelphia, they went to the pawn shop and bought me one.
With the bend in it, or did you do that yourself?
Nah, I had a straight one. I had one of those long trumpets, brass trumpets.
When did it go up?
That's been about 15 years, I think. It got broke. It was a party one time. I was playing a place called Snooki's on 45th Street in New York. And it was on January the 6th. I don't know exactly what year it was, but it's about 15 years ago. And we were having a party for my wife. And on my day off, on a Monday. And I had a interview program during that time, and I left my horn on one of those stands, like one of those stands you hold it. and two comedians up there. You know, they had all these comedians and guys playing St. Servan, Illinois, and these guys, Stumpy, they were kidding around on the bandstand. One pushed the other one, and he pushed them back on the horn, you know, and instead of the horn falling, it just bent, because it was stick. You know, when you stick your horn in a stand, that stand goes up in the bell for about this much. 99 times out of 100, if somebody fall against it, it'll fall down. But it just so happened that the angle that he fell back on it, it must have been, let's see, the valve must have been up this way, and the bottom of the valve must have been this way. If it had been that way, it would have fallen. But it was this way.
Caught it.
And it's caught. And maybe it caught in his coat or something like that, and it just bent. When I got back, it was sticking up like this.
Now, what was the first thing you thought of?
At first, I thought of killing somebody. And you know what? I tell you how the first thing I thought of, Illinois Jacket took one look at that horn, looking at bent up like that, and he left. He said, "I don't want to be here for the massacre." So I had one. When I got it back the next day, I had it straightened out. But I played it that night like that, and it's weird. You could hear immediately, you know, bam, you hear it. Hear the bell is up here, you know. I said, look at here, and it would be good for schools around the country now, for the guys that hold the horn down into the stand. Yeah, you can hold your head down and it's still hold it. But I'm not one for trumpet players to hold it, because I have a thing about it. They asked me if that was the reason that I held my head down. It's not true. Miles holds his head down when he plays. But I don't. I hold my head at a level position, and then if I want to play higher, I raise my eyes up to a certain level. See, it's just like I'm playing to. I tell trumpet players this, and it works. If they miss notes, you know, like if you have to hit a D